Welcome to another episode of my Land Rover project. This is the fourth episode and we're specifically focusing on removing rust in this episode. Thanks for all the positive feedback on the videos before, I really appreciate it. I'm trying to step the game up a bit. Unfortunately my girlfriend Sophie's not here to film today, but I've borrowed her tripod, which means hopefully I can produce a better video. As you can see, it's rusty. It's 33 years old, but this rust isn't too bad at all. This is mainly surface rust, which was really lucky because I bought this car unseen. It could have had extremely bad rust in the chassis, but I've got really lucky with this one. So hopefully, because it's surface rust, I won't have to do any welding, and hopefully it should just all brush up, and then I'm going to coat it and protect it for the future. I've got fur tan, which is a rust converter, not a remover, it's a converter. It basically, it's a chemical that will then convert the rust back into metal, and this one also converts some of it to zinc, so it almost galvanizes the chassis. And then I've got this is underbody seal, which is like a heavy duty, well I think it says it there, heavy duty paint basically. I've also ordered some things to attach to an angle grinder and to drills, so that I've basically got power wire brushes, because my arms are going to get very tired doing that entire chassis by hand. Before I start just scrubbing at it though, I'm going to try and break the car down into sections. So today I just want to get this, I'm not sure what I'd call it, bumper, I don't even know. I want to get that done, and just getting down, starting at the back, working my way down to the front really. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove all of the stuff on the back. First thing to move out of the way is these cables. One bolt out, loads to go. I'm not going to film it all because it'll waste the battery. But yeah, I'm going to get most of this stuff off the back stripped off, and then maybe other parts, but I'll get to that in a bit. As you can see, most of the stuff off the back is off. Now that's not coming out because it's got bolts behind it, so I'll have to drop the fuel tank to get to it. And it's probably worth dropping the fuel tank anyway, because when I get down to these parts here, it'll be nice to get behind it where the fuel tank is. So I'm going to drop the fuel tank properly. I had to do this last video in order to get the fuel lines out the way of the body, which is over there, which came off. I'm going to drop it again, but this time I'm going to drain it as well. Before dropping the tank, I'm going to drain the fuel. Hopefully they've got enough capacity to drain it, and then to drain it I'm going to siphon it with an old hose pipe. I wanted to, there's a plug underneath, I wanted to undo that, but I don't have any funnels. So here we go, this is going to be fun, tasting diesel. There we go. I've just undone the fuel lines there and there, so now I can get this tank dropped off again. It's got 4 bolts underneath holding it in. I forgot to switch the camera on, but I've got the tank out, and you can see now I've got access to the inside, and most importantly at the moment to the back of that beam. So there we go. So tank's out of the way. This needs to come off, this needs to come off. I think that might be held in with big rivets, I'm not entirely sure what they are. But this has got a 19mm head, and then it's got a nut on the back as well. So yeah, I'll crack them off, and then we'll start wire brushing, sanding, getting all of the rust off this bar. I got that tow hitch off, I think the army installed it. So heavy, I've actually got so much weight off the back of this by removing that, and I'm not sure what I'm going to put back on. I've just got to remove this now. I need to have a look behind and see how it connects. So this here, this connection, I've got the spring loose to try and loosen it, then I tried to undo these bolts, and then what's around it is crosshead screws, and they're not coming out, and I've attempted drilling them out, and my drill's not good enough, so this is going to be a real issue. I might have to grind the heads off. I'm guessing that's the electric hookup for a trailer, but it looks so out of date and old. If I want one, I'll put one in that's new. It'd be far better. I'm also going to undo the exhaust just to get it out of the way, and probably the fuel filter, and that way I can work all across that back section. I'm also removing the fuel filter while I'm here. What I'm about to do is quite counterintuitive. I've got the pressure washer there, and I'm going to pressure wash it, because what it's going to do is it's going to remove some flaking rust, some of the paint that's not good anymore, and it's absolutely covered in dirt as well, which I don't want to be grinding up against later when I'm removing the rust, because it's just going to make it all really, really, really dusty. So that pile there is all of the rust and the old paint that the jet washer removed, and I'm just letting it air so it can properly dry. I think I'm going to turn the rust removal into its own video, and that'll be it for this one, but we're all ready now for this section of Desmond to be restored properly. Okay, so here's the deal. It's another day. Now I got this stripped down and I started a little bit of sanding work, and looking at it you can see these holes from rust, and if you look at the back it's particularly bad, and this is because the wheels flick all the water up into that rear cross member, and often on these Landies you have to replace that rear cross member. So we're gonna call this video short now, having stripped it down and inspecting it, and I'm gonna make a whole separate video on how to replace your Land Rover rear cross member. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next videos on the channel.